I know a guy who knows a lot about this kind of thing. It's Mark Geragos, friend of the show, friend of mine, really smart guy, knows his stuff. He's also not only a trial attorney, he's the co-host of Reasonable Doubt, the podcast with Adam Carolla. Geragos, what's your read on this case?
Well, he's got two very able lawyers. And I think, and the first thing they said coming out of the box is it was an unintentional shooting. Everything that you just recounted, I think they can place into context that he pulled obviously the gun out, but that it was not an intentional shooting, and either the gun went off or he fired it because he was so inebriated, but he didn't mean to do it. It wasn't intentional. And I'm sure they're going to be arguing for an involuntary manslaughter.
So he's got no criminal history, and he's got a stellar past, right? He's a judge. He's like supposedly the best among us. But he did say all these things, right?
Prosecutor as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Right, so he knows what he shouldn't say at a crime scene, having been a prosecutor. And he said to the police officers, well, I guess I'm done for a while. And he, of course, said to the coworkers, I just lost it. I just shot my wife. I won't be in tomorrow. I'll be in custody. Don't you think if it was accidental, a jury would probably feel like he would say something else? Like, oh, God, I've had a terrible accident. Not, I guess I'll be in custody. And doesn't it seem odd?
Well, yeah, no, the whole thing is very odd, obviously, especially when you layer in the fact that the gun had gone off previously, that he put the gun to his head previously, that he smells like alcohol. You can make a compelling case that he's going through some kind of alcoholic-induced or has got some issues with alcohol. But I think virtually everything you said is still consistent with either an accidental discharge or a non-intentional. If the argument is, as you know, Ashleigh, we've talked about it a million times, if it is with malice, meaning a depraved mind, then it's murder. If it is a killing done without malice, then you're talking about manslaughter. If it's manslaughter, you've got either voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary would be generally if it was a heat of passion or something along those lines. It does not sound like that's what the lawyers are going to argue.
You know what?
Yeah.
That all makes perfect sense, and everything you say makes perfect sense, except for the fact that he had to reach down to the ankle holster, unholster a gun, bring it up, and shoot. And as you know, this is weird. I always found this weird, but intent can be formed in seconds. It doesn't need to be you lying in wait for the lover to come home and elaborate plot. Intent for a first-degree murder can be formed in seconds. Do you think that the prosecutors could make an argument for that, or is that too uphill when you're dealing with a judge?
Well, there is something that's, I think, a little peculiar. I was taken a little bit aback. He's out, as you mentioned, on $1 million bail. I've had cases just this year where I had people where there was no death, and I had to go to the Court of Appeal, back down, do preliminary hearing before I could get a client out where there was no death, where they actually had no bail. Here, they did not. The prosecutor didn't go in after the police released him and he posted bail, didn't say, hey, not judge the defendant, but judge who's presiding, we want you to make this no bail. We're afraid he's going to flee. We're afraid he's done stuff before. He's going to hurt himself. He's never going to be found accountable. They didn't do any of that, which leads me to believe one of two alternatives. Either they're giving him the benefit of the doubt, or because he's been in the system, they're saying there, but for the grace of God, walk I. I don't know what other explanation there is for. Yeah, what other explanation?
I can't wait. I was just going to say I can't wait for the next shoe to drop on this one and for the all rise moment. So will you join me the next time that we have a hearing in this case and he makes an appearance?
Absolutely. I'd love to do it.
Mark Geragos, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.